次の大統領選挙も近いですしね。
Alright, Granute World. Now this is your chance to vote this tyrant out of office. Now let's see, who's his opponent anyways? Oh, it's the equivalent of Bernie Sanders in their world. Former years it is. Continuing right from where we left off last week, Hanto had told Shoma about his uncle, and understandably, things were a tad bit awkward, with Hanto rightfully apologizing for acting behind his friend's back. And really, through just this first scene, we could already get a good gauge of what the acting in this episode was going to be like, which, yeah. Still, Hanto assured him that Masaru was none the wiser, which seemed like it wasn't going to last that much longer as the dude himself called and wanted to talk about his sister with him. Just tell him that she tried to become a social influencer, and then he'll probably disown her. Anyway, Shoma decided to go with him just to make things doubly awkward. With that, the guys met at Sachika's office, with Masaru recognizing her from the previous episode. As a result, I think even Sachika was able to read the room and could kind of tell what was coming. Sure enough, Masaru had already printed out a bunch of reports of the Granutes, which ironically, a lot of them were probably coming from Sachika's own posts. Yeah, I guess letting everyone know about the Granutes was a bit of a double-edged sword. Well, that's mostly it. I mean, you left out the little detail that they also ground her up into jelly and, I've probably said too much already. This led to Masaru having an outburst with him getting right in Hanto's face. Fortunately, the tension was kind of literally broken when the Gochizos accidentally broke a vase. Then again, I really gotta praise the acting in this episode, especially from Shuhei Honda here, as he just goes through all of the emotions, from aggressive to relaxed, just seamlessly. Like, you try and get that hot and then talk calmly, it's not that easy. And really, this whole episode was pretty much just Masaru going through the 5 stages of grief, because, let's face it, even if they weren't in the middle of a carnivorous alien invasion, anyone who's been gone for about 2 decades is more than likely gone for good. Thus, the scene was mostly him just going through the denial and anger phases. And in the end, Hanto didn't tell him anything and just said he couldn't divulge anything just yet, which is kind of true, but damn, the tension here is palatable. Like, honestly, this is great drama and everything, but can we move on to something a little more lighthearted and maybe even a little goofy?
私は人間を見くびっていたようだな。これほどの文明を築いているとは。
Yeah, that'll do. So yeah, the first Granute family was in Tokyo, and for his disguise, Boka chose a younger dude. Like, this guy is only 23 years old, and needless to say, that pre-boy face doesn't exactly match with Chad from Bleach. Speaking of Bleaches, why did they have this actor wear an obviously fake blonde wig? And you know what, don't answer that question. Anyway, they took in all of the structures that were made from ground up gravel, which of course they would see as a waste of perfectly good food. Though kind of surprisingly, we learned that they also seem to eat steel. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, considering their chompers can pretty much eat anything, but I wonder where it lands on their food pyramid. Anyway, since they were here to help support his presidential campaign, I guess Boka figured that one way to win over voters would be through food. However, rather than just french fries, he decided to take something a little more significant to their world. Oh, come on, dude. The least you can do is cut those samples up a little nicer, and also preferably have some less human splatter on them. Their commotion ended up attracting Lakia, who tried to henshin in front of them, but I guess there's certain disadvantages to having your henshin device not be your actual stomach. As a result, he got a pretty brutal beatdown by Boka's Secret Service. Like, sure, if you look closely enough, it's very clear that they're pulling their punches, but still, the act was pretty graphic, especially from this first-person view. The points to this dude for fixing his jacket after that beatdown. At the same time, another simulated fight was taking place, as to his credit, Jeep stayed true to his declaration and had been training with Nival's VR tech. And I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but I'd like to think that he ended up inheriting his big sister's love for pro wrestling.
Dangerous situation for both of these men! Oh my god!
Most importantly, he managed to come up with one of the better-looking rider kicks of the season. In the end, Nival praised him for getting stronger and more accustomed to the Black Gavv, which were all probably true, but going by his frown, he clearly wasn't satisfied with all of his results. Back with the writers, they were still sorting through all of the stuff with Masaru, and Shoma kind of correctly pointed out how this whole situation wasn't too dissimilar to Hanto learning about his mother. Only major difference was that Hanto was kind of constantly in the anger phase of the 5 stages. Yet, as the guy himself pointed out, it was probably for the best in the long run, considering that it let him finally accept his mother's death. Though do take note of that for him part, as he correctly pointed out, it might not work as well with Masaru because ultimately, everyone deals with grief in different ways. Regardless, Shoma decided to go see his uncle, and things were still kind of awkward, with I think even Masaru managing to pick up that Shoma knew something. Hell, maybe that's even why he subconsciously gave him one of the last treats he ended up giving to his sister with some jelly, which, yeah, technically made this new Gochizo one of the first in a long while to have a connection with Michiru, albeit not through her recollections of sweets she liked. Anyway, Shoma almost revealed the truth to his uncle, who he started to call his uncle, but Masaru didn't notice thanks to how Japanese works. Like, in just general context like this, where he calls him Oji-san, that could be like the equivalent of Mr., even though it also literally means uncle. But yeah, ultimately, Shoma decided against it when Masaru showed signs that he went to the bargaining and denial side of things, as he really tried to cope his hardest with the idea that his sister might still be alive after 20 years. And again, mad praise to this actor, especially his facials. Like, just look at how he goes from desperate to a delusional smile in the blink of an eye. It's kind of creepy and yet outright amazing. Anyway, Sachika came in with the unintentional save when she told him about the first family attacking the city. Shoma and Hanto met up and confronted the father and daughter, with the former finally going back to a form that actually kind of matches that voice. They fought their secret service and had a pretty good little brawl. Honestly, the best part of it all were the whip knights, both because, as usual, they're adorable, and they helped pull off a pretty impressive stunt. Like, clearly, there's no CGI here, and they're just having the suit actor balance rather precariously on these spears. If it were me, I'd be shitting my pants as either Gavv or the guys who needed to support him. And in the end, they took out the foot soldiers without too much issue, so now came the big boss.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah, for once, Lizelle really wasn't lying or exaggerating when she said that they didn't stand a chance against her dad. Fortunately for the writers, like a true politician, he left without actually finishing his job. Later, Shoma explained why he didn't reveal the truth to Masaru, as yeah, he probably wasn't exactly in the right state of mind to hear the full truth, at least not just yet. Maybe he will be when he finally reaches the final phase of grief, acceptance. With that, the episode ended with Naivo not too surprisingly revealing that he wanted to experiment more with his other brother. This was a really good dramatic episode. Masaru really stood out here, both through his character development and his actor giving 110%. It's one of those times where I really didn't mind that some of the superhero stuff was a little more secondary this week. Of all of the episodes so far this season, this is probably one of the most mature stories so far. Dealing with the passing of a loved one is never an easy task, and depending on the person, it should be handled very delicately. Obviously, I think they should eventually tell Masaru the truth, but it also should be at the right time, which yes is very debatable. It's a situation where there's really no right or wrong answer, just different options and perspectives that the writers needed to consider. And of course, with subject matter this heavy, they needed some strong performances, and while Shoma and Hanto's actors have already been pretty well established by this point, Masaru's actor just kind of outright stole this episode, as you could feel the desperation and dread with all of his scenes, as he likely knew that Michiru was long gone, but just couldn't accept it, hence why I do think Shoma made the right call in the end. Meanwhile, the actual Kamen Rider stuff was good too. I mean, it's nice to see that Jeeb actually kept to his word and is becoming a bit less of a jobber, and Boka's blatant disregard for humanity helped to make him an even better villain, along with him just being insanely strong. Like, they're just doing a great job building him up as the possible final boss of this series. I'm not sure who it's going to be at this point just yet. Still, yeah, the Michiru drama of this episode was a definite highlight, though this stuff didn't take away from it either, making for overall a very strong episode. Grief is never an easy thing to overcome, but maybe with a few sweets it can go down a little easier. Thanks for watching, and if you want like some jelly for your toast, well, our videos are 0 calories. I'm running out of material, okay? We've got something new coming out almost every day that hopefully will be at least somewhat entertaining for you. Look forward to whatever comes next. Until then, though, for now, my friends, and oh great, another new state tax. Evil is all around us.